Goddess podcast. In the first half of this episode, I took the time to talk to you all about how to create a vision board that is really going to work for you and advance and elevate your life. If you are checking this out on YouTube, be sure to go back and check the previous video out. Of course, if you're listening in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the radio, or TV stations, you probably have already seen this first part. So, the second part that I am focusing in on is helping you recognize how significant it is to work on your internal world in conjunction with your vision board. So, everyone loves taking the time to talk about the actions that they need to take every day, what they should be doing. We're all about a plan, but sometimes we don't think about who we need to become in the process. And so, I'm going to help you to understand that a bit more and dig into some practical ways that you can focus on who you are becoming. So, I want to make sure you all know that when you focus on your internal as well as your external, you are going to get stellar results. Because when you're focused on who you are becoming, you are shifting your identity. And that is the next level. Shifting that identity is where you will see the most groundbreaking success, and you will see that your results will not only come faster, because this isn't about speed, this is about sustainability. And you want to sustain all of those positive results and the momentum you have built time and time as you're working on it every single day. That is why we want to make sure you are aware of understanding that the external is really only a reflection of your internal world. So if you are not focused on your internal world at all, you might find yourself achieving this material success. You might be crushing your vision board goals, but you're not feeling fulfilled. You're not feeling good about yourself. So that's why it's so important that we take this time to really dig deep and get into our internal world as we have focused in on the external with our vision board and what things we would like to have. Hello to everyone who has joined in on this YouTube Live. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for coming. I am going to be able to share with you how to make your 2025 so successful by focusing on who you are on the inside. Now, again, when you focus on the inside, you are going to easily get an external reflection. So let's say that you are not necessarily the kindest person in the world, right? Well, in the external world, you might get some people who are not so kind to you. This isn't to say that, sometimes people are people and you don't have to do anything to experience negativity. But why don't we just work on our insides and know that that mirror is going to show us who we are? When we see out there, is going to come from in here. So, when your external and internal worlds, so when I say external, I'm talking about your vision board, I'm talking about all the goals that you have, all the achievements that you want to manifest. When it's in alignment with your internal world, there's a higher chance of you really reaching those goals and elevating them. Okay, so we want to bring it back home. And I also want to mention that 2025 is the year of spirituality. So you are going to find yourself being more inclined to be in tune with God. And so, because of that, you're going to have this internal focus. You're going to have this desire to heal. You're going to want to connect with God and the Supreme. This is what is going to help you the most and be the best in 2025. So let's dig in. Now, let's talk about what success actually is because there are so many different perceptions and perspectives of success. Now, while I believe we can have our own definition of success, I also believe that God has a definition of success for us. And so I have pulled some scriptures from Psalms 1 through 2. And it says, "Oh, the joys of those who do not follow the advice of the wicked, or stand around with sinners, or join in with mockers. But they that delight in the law of the Lord, meditating on it day and night, they are like trees planted along the river bank, bearing fruit each season. Their leaves never wither, and they prosper in all they do." This is what success is. I know when we look on movies or social media, we see success, especially as maybe women or even men, the boss CEO that has on their business suit and they have millions in their accounts and they have their cute kids and their amazing spouse. And that is what success is, this high power corporate job. And that's really not success, at least to me, and it's definitely not success to God. And so when I hear that verse, what really stands out to me is that number one, you aren't following what everyone else is doing. If you see people that are doing things that are wrong, that don't align with you, that are not here to help you, you're like, no, this is not what I'm going to do. You're not listening into society. You're not just following the crowd. And then the next thing that I see is that when we meditate day and night, yes, you can meditate on God's word, but you can also meditate on positive things, whatever you're watching out there. Are you listening to affirmations, right? And then the next part of that verse is talking about what that success really is. You're planted, which means you're grounded. You're deep. You have depth. You're not doing shallow, superficial things. You're not worried about materialism as success for you. Your focus is on being deep within yourself, within your soul, within God. And then you are ready to bear that fruit because your water, every day you're being watered, right? With your actions, you're watered with God, you're watered with your heart. And then in that season, when it's your time, that success is going to happen. It is inevitable for you to be successful. So I wanted to give you a perspective of success, not from what the world is going to tell us, what we're seeing online, or even when we go out and we're around other people. You should have your definition of success as well as understanding God's definition of success. And when those two come into alignment together, you are going to be able to see yourself prospering more than you thought possible. So let's talk about your next steps for success in this year. I would encourage you to consider 3 characteristics you might want to develop this year. And then create some action steps on how you can develop this. So, I am going to talk to you about traits of a high value person, even though I'm going to focus more so on women because that is a good number of my audience who listens in. But, guys, you can use this information too. So, everyone, if you don't already have your journal out, I encourage you to do so or wait until an appropriate time. If you are operating heavy machinery or busy, it's totally fine. You can come back to this later. But we are actually going to, I want to give you a chance to listen in to some different traits that you could consider developing and the characteristics that you want, and then how we are creating those action steps and making a plan. Now, in our vision board, we have action steps, we have a plan if you checked out that video, but I want to give you some action steps to look at when you are focusing on your internal world. So, number one, the traits of a high value person, specifically, I'm talking to women right now, is to be a goddess. Decide your archetype of who you want to be as this goddess. This is going to set you up for success because when you know who you want to be, and when I say goddess, I mean you're using characteristics of God. You are being godly or godlike. And for me, when I think about being a goddess, when I think about being godly, I consider I'm kind to all souls. I'm giving, but I know when to withdraw from what is not feeding me. So that is also going to help you with your success because while we want to water other people, we want to make sure that we're being watered as well. This is important. We also want to be compassionate for those who are in need of healing. These people could be in need of food or clothing or shelter. That is going to ramp up your opportunities to empower people. And you'll have moral integrity. And this is going to help you decipher from what's right and what's wrong from, again, that moral perspective, but also helping yourself to be in alignment of what you know is the right next step. Now, I know when people talk about success, they're not bringing all of this information to you about characteristic traits. So this might not be super popular, but I know that this is what really works and sustains long-term success and happiness, joy, peace. Those are the things that we want. We don't want quick fixes for everything. We want that sustainability so that we can live off of our work that we are putting in today for long-term success tomorrow. And that all starts from within. The next thing that I want to share with you guys in the traits of a high value woman is that she knows her value and her worth. So let's talk about that. And I want to tell you guys, even though most of the time I speak to women, this content helps my husband as well, especially when we're talking about value and worth, because the world only deems us valuable if we are rich, or maybe if we look really good, if we are in certain social circles. That is when we are deemed the most valuable. But that is not how it should be. Our value comes from within. And to me, when you value yourself and you know who you are, you know your worth, that is success because you can show up and you can give your all and do your best in other areas because you feel good about who you are. So, this high value woman that knows her worth, she has standards for what is expected of herself. So you can even think about the standards that you've set that you must reach. So for me, I know my standards of friendships. I don't hang with people that either aren't on my level or above. Like if they're not in any of those two categories, I will not spend time with them. And if I do have to spend time with them, I'm not opening up. I'm not really going to share a lot about myself personally, especially not my goals or anything like that, because those people who aren't on that level won't understand. That is where you have to really value yourself by valuing also your time and your energy as well as your efforts. So that's a standard that I've set. You can also look at other standards you might want to have. And I'm going to talk more about like dating, friendships, career, and business in just a moment. But think about the standards that you need to set for yourself of this is what I expect myself to do. This is what I am holding myself to. Every single day, in whatever situation, this is the expectation of me. The next thing is that you respect those standards with boundaries for others, okay? So, of course, within yourself, you when you start to meet those standards, another standard example is maybe you only eat high quality foods that are going to give you valuable nutrition. That is a standard that you have. So, if your best friend asks you, "Hey, I want to go out to McDonald's and get a cheeseburger and some fries." Well, the boundary of that might be, "Hey, thank you so much for inviting me. If that's what you want to get, that's fine, but I think I'm going to bring my own lunch." Right? Not only are you meeting your standard, you're also setting a boundary and not just going to do whatever someone else wants to do and when they want to do it. That's important. And a lot of times people don't share this type of information because they want to be able to have all the control. And that's why we don't have success, is because a lot of us don't have standards and boundaries around the way we move in this life. We think that if we just kind of make everyone else happy and people please, that it's going to get us where we want to get. If we rub shoulders with the right person, that it's going to make us successful. No, I'm all about having a great social circle and social status. I think all of that is important to make an impact, but you really have to hold your values, your know your worth, and have those standards and boundaries in place for people to respect you. I also want to point this out. You don't want to settle and become desperate when life throws you the chance to, because it's going to happen. Even though we want the best for ourselves, sometimes we're going to be presented with opportunities where we can just simply take whatever is handed to us. I will share my own situation. So, I was given an opportunity for a specific role, and I started to feel a little bit desperate. And that did not feel good to me. And the desperation came from I found out that the role might not be coming at the timeline I thought, that it would be like a later time, right? And so that was an opportunity for me to like reach out and say, "Hey, can we move this up? Can we do this? Can we do that?" You know what I did instead? I breathed and I said, "You know what, Jasmine? You know that this is meant for you, but you need to move your energy around." And I talk about this in my Money Honey course as well. And I call it the boyfriend energy. And basically, it's when you start to feel yourself getting super desperate for something, and you're like, "Wait a minute. No, 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 no. I'm not going to do this to myself. Instead, I'm going to put my energy elsewhere." So I distracted myself and moved my energy by applying for other roles. And I'm like, you know what? Even if these roles don't work out, this is an opportunity. I'm putting myself out there. This is a networking chance. And those people, that happened like maybe a day or so ago. So nothing really happened just yet. But I feel better. I personally don't feel desperate. I don't care if it doesn't start at the time that I wanted it to start. I'm just letting it be. And so I want to talk to you about when you want success, you can't settle. You always have to strive for the best. Let's talk about even something such as dating. You, as a high value woman who is going after success, or even if you are a guy, you don't go out with the first person that asks you. you are going to want to vet. You want to make yourself almost inaccessible to everyone. Only certain people get your time. And that is what is going to increase your potency, your value, your self respect, and respect that others will give to you. Always remember that. And to be honest with you, that's what my husband was most attracted to and still is. I have so much self respect that, like, I don't even give him certain amounts of my time, especially if, let's say that maybe we don't agree on something or we don't see eye to eye. I'm pulling back because I recognize, yes, of course, we all can learn, we all can grow, but when it's something that I am passionate about and I know it's the right thing to do, I have to push back and hold myself to that standard and not allow one thing to throw me off course. You also don't want to settle with your friendships. So you do need to put your friends through the test. Don't just go and hang out with somebody all the time and they haven't shown you their loyalty. They haven't shown you how respectful that they need to be to you. They haven't proven that they are going to be there for you in storms. This is so important, and we can overlook this so much because we are creatures that want to socialize and be around others. It's very easy to just give people whatever they want, but we have to set things in place. And that might mean we could be lonely for a season. But when you put these things in place, you're going to attract the right people into your life. So, another person to keep in mind as you're creating and cultivating your characteristic traits, you want to think about your career and business. And in order for you to have success with that, you want to think about playing the field of opportunities. Just like that example I shared with you when I started to feel desperate, you know what? I have plenty of other opportunities. This is an abundance mindset. I have so much out there to offer. I have certifications, degrees. I have so many things that I could do. And it's not just one path, there are multiple paths that I can take. And you want to do what is best for you and always, and not just focus on status or focus on money, because that is not going to bring you that fulfillment long term. I want you all to really think through those three areas with dating, friendships, and career and business, because when you know your value and your worth, it will allow you to have the greatest amount of success. So now I'm going to get into the next set of traits of a high value woman. So first we started off with being a goddess, knowing value and worth, and now we're going to look at patience. This is something people do not like, especially me. Having patience with timing myself and others, I didn't get good at this until I had my son and I went through extreme postpartum depression because I wanted my life to be back to normal so quickly, and I was pushing myself mentally, physically, emotionally to just kind of almost snap back. And I wasn't giving myself time to get out there. I was upset because I wasn't working in the way that I wanted to work. And to be quite frank with you, I'm still not quite working as much as consistently like out in the world is what I mean. Like I have obviously my businesses, podcasts, things of that nature, but I really wanted to be out, working full time all the time, like a long time ago. But it was not the time. And that's so hard to accept. But when you are a high value person, you're not going to rush. You're not going to rush because why? What is the rush? Why are we rushing? It's because we don't want to wait. Waiting is difficult. So I've made it my business to wait well. I literally have a list of all the things that I can do while I'm waiting on certain manifestations to come. And that actually helps me to have a focus so that I can see the reason why God has me waiting. And that is where you start to have wisdom, because when we want everything fast and quick, that doesn't mean that it's going to last forever. You want to have patience, and you want to understand that everything has to align with the stars. So, I'll give you an example of a great success story that I have of myself. That is when my husband and I got back together after we had a crazy hard breakup to our engagement, and we were just not in a good place. So, we were kind of like, we about 2.5 years or so, like, we were broken up, and we finally had gotten back together. It was like the stars aligned, and we bought a house, we got married, and then 4 months later I was pregnant. It just felt like boom, 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 and this was in the height of the pandemic. Like, all of these great things happening in such a tumultuous time was incredible. Like, I could not have planned all of that. And so that's why it's so important for you to hold that level of patience. You don't want to rush things, because when you rush, you burn yourself out, because you're trying to force and force and force. And in order to be successful, we are no longer forcing our way into things. We are literally gliding. That is how I want to see myself. I am gliding into my success in 2025. I'm flowing into my success in 2025. So, like I mentioned, waiting well is definitely important. And as you wait well, one main thing you want to focus on is your level of gratitude. Being happy with where you are now is the secret sauce of happiness and fulfillment. You want to see all the good things that you have. It's so easy to get hyper fixated on what you lack, but I would encourage you to listen to Psalms 23. The first verse says that, the Lord is my shepherd, I have all that I need. You don't lack anything. If you needed something, you would specifically have it. And I don't want to negate anyone that has like more needs that are dire, like you need, a place to live. If you're hungry, start, those are things like, those are Maslow's law. Like, we have to have those things in order to live. But I'm talking about things that are higher up on the hierarchy that we want to manifest, right? So keep that in mind. And then I also want to share with you something else that was super helpful for me: finding purpose in the right now. Right now, in this moment, this is your present. And we sometimes can be so either focused on the past or focused on the future that we're not enjoying the present. And so, as you can probably see, like, I'm more focused on my present and being so happy and seeing my purpose. Like, while I would love to be out, working and doing all of these things, like, I don't think that I realize this is my purpose. Talking to you all on this podcast, sharing all of this information. This is my ministry. Then I have my other roles in business, and I have products that I am selling, as well as courses. And then I think about how powerful of results that I'm able to help my clients get. I think through the consulting opportunities that I have, so easily. And a lot of people don't have those, and I do. Like, I have achieved so many different things, and that's just career business. It's not even the success that I have with my 3-year-old and how he's thriving in every area. My marriage is going amazingly well, and I get to serve them. Like, that's the purpose that I see. So if you are struggling with your success and the timeline in which it is unfolding, those are some things to really help you. Now, I do have some more things that you can consider as you are creating your 3 traits to get yourself in alignment for 2025. You really want to pick the ones that stand out to you the most and that you think are going to help. So, I'm going to end off with inviting you to listen in to the next podcast episode because I'm going to be going in a little bit deeper on some more traits because this is everything. This is the most important work you can do is internally. Don't let the world fool you and make you think that all these superficial things will get you those results. As my friend Isabel Palacio says, at the end of her show, she talks about your beauty, your true power, your value all comes from within. And recognizing and seeing that is going to propel you forward. I love you guys so much, and I hope this was helpful.